Do you remember when you could buy a Ford Ranger for the price of a compact sedan? Those little pickups that ruled the streets back in the 90s have completely disappeared from the market. In the next few minutes, we're going to reveal the real reason why Ford, Chevrolet, and Dodge walked away from a segment that was once their golden goose. The answer might surprise you. And no, it's not just because people prefer bigger trucks. It sounds crazy now, but just a few decades ago, small trucks were the most affordable option for many buyers. You could walk into a dealership, point at a base model regular cab Ranger, and drive out having paid less than for a compact sedan. That sounds like fantasy today. It all started with the 1973 oil crisis. As Americans lined up for hours just to fill their tanks, something interesting happened in the car market. Japanese mini trucks with their efficient engines and compact size started creeping onto American roads. The Toyota Hilux and Datsun 620 showed up like a breath of fresh air. Cheap, small, and with fuel economy that felt miraculous compared to the gas-guzzling American monsters. The Detroit Giants caught on fast. Ford, always quick on its feet, introduced the Courier, which was basically just a Mazda with a blue oval badge slapped on it. Chevy followed suit with the LUV, essentially a rebadged Isuzu Faster. These were the first signs that something big was shifting in the American auto industry, but the real boom happened when these brands began making their own compact pickups from scratch. That's how we got icons like the Ford Ranger, Chevrolet S10, and Dodge Dakota. These little machines won America's heart with an unbeatable formula: affordable price, great gas mileage, and just enough capability for your everyday needs. You didn't need a half-ton monster to haul your tools or take a bike to the park. The beauty of these trucks was in their simplicity. An 80s Ranger was a nearly indestructible workhorse. 4-cylinder engine, manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, and the usable bed. No touchscreens. No GPS, no backup cameras, just raw mechanical goodness. And best of all, you could fix it yourself with basic tools and a repair manual. Before long, a whole culture grew around these little pickups: lowered suspensions, wild decals, massive sound systems. Magazines like Mini Truckin' became the Bible for a whole generation. Custom pickup shows were pulling thousands of young people every weekend across the country. Sales numbers? Insane. Through the 80s and 90s, these things were flying off the lots. The Ford Ranger was selling over 300,000 units a year at its peak, outselling a lot of popular sedans. For many young Americans, this was their first vehicle. They could actually afford a brand new truck without going broke. They were versatile too. On Monday, it carried construction tools. By Friday, it had a tent and cooler in the back for a weekend getaway. Compact enough for city parking, rugged enough for dirt roads, the perfect all-rounder for the average person. For millions of young drivers, those little pickups were their first real taste of freedom. I still remember my neighbor showing off his 1992 Ranger, washing it every Saturday like it was a Ferrari. But by the late 90s, things started to shift. At first, it was subtle. Each new generation of small trucks got a bit bigger, a little heavier, a bit more feature-packed, and a lot more expensive. The 2000 S10 didn't look much like its 80s predecessor, the Dakota. By that point, it was about the size of a 70s Ram. Prices kept climbing, pushing these trucks out of reach for the young buyers and working class folks they were originally made for. A silent transformation was underway. The little warriors that once ruled the roads were slowly being marched into extinction. Over the decades, trucks like the Ford Ranger, Chevy S10, and Dodge Dakota evolved. From affordable, practical compact trucks to larger, heavier, pricier machines loaded with features. And this didn't happen by accident. This wasn't just consumer demand. It was corporate strategy. Strategic decisions, financial incentives, and structural market forces all played a role. Take the Ford Ranger, the 1983 model, truly compact, lightweight, and utilitarian, built as a simple tool. Compare that to the 2010 version. It's nearly the same size as an 80s F-150. Same story with the S10 and Dakota. With each new version, they grew a little bigger, heavier, and cushier, closer to sedans than utility trucks. Why? Because bigger trucks mean bigger profits. A customer coming in for a $15,000 Ranger could easily be upsold into a $35,000 F-150 with leather seats and a touchscreen. Bigger sales, better margins, more money. Meanwhile, public perception started to change. Pickups weren't just tools anymore. They became family vehicles, daily drivers, even status symbols. And the features kept coming: heated seats, premium sound, cameras, and more. The line between work trucks and luxury SUVs started to blur. The manufacturers made it very clear where their priorities were. Marketing for small trucks dried up. Big trucks dominated every Super Bowl ad, every dealership floor. Compact pickups quietly pushed out of the picture. Chevy killed off the S10 in 2004 and replaced it with the larger, more expensive Colorado. Ford followed in 2011, ending U.S. production of the Ranger. With that, the last true compact pickup vanished from the American market. For nearly a decade, buyers had no real option for a small truck. You either bought a midsize or full size, or you bought nothing. Meanwhile, overseas, compact pickups were thriving. The Ford Ranger lived on internationally. Toyota Hilux ruled Asia and Latin America. VW Amarok was gaining ground in Europe and South America. But in the US, the segment was empty. And ironically, just when fuel prices were rising, just when eco-awareness was growing, and just when demand for efficient vehicles was bouncing back, those trucks were gone. Why? Because the system is designed in a way that helps manufacturers avoid competition in the compact truck segment. By not making small trucks at all, Ford and GM don't have to compete with efficient foreign brands. It's not about demand. It's not about engineering. It's about business decisions made quietly behind closed doors. Why don't we have a modern S10 today? If a Honda Fit can meet today's standard, surely a small truck can. But that's not the problem. The real killer was government regulation, specifically fuel efficiency laws. The CAFE system, corporate average fuel economy, sets fuel efficiency targets based on a vehicle's size or footprint. Basically, the larger the vehicle, the easier the target. Smaller vehicles, stricter rules. That means a compact Ranger has to meet much tougher fuel efficiency standards than a giant F-150, even though it already burns less fuel. To meet those tough targets, automakers have to spend more on R&D on vehicles that bring in less profit. So why bother? It's much easier and far more profitable to sell a big truck with relaxed regulations and higher margins. So that's what they did. The result? The compact pickup died out, not from lack of interest, but from bad regulations and corporate greed. Today's small trucks like the Ford Maverick or Hyundai Santa Cruz are much larger than the old compacts. That's not a coincidence. Their size places them in a more favorable regulatory category. And in the Maverick's case, the hybrid engine is essential to meet CAFE standards. Without it, it likely wouldn't pass. Then there are the safety regulations: airbags, crumple zones, driver aids, structural reinforcements, all good things, but they add weight and complexity. That moves us even further away from the simplicity of the compact pickups we used to love. So now we're stuck with the sad irony. The laws meant to promote efficient AML&T. Affordable vehicles have helped kill them off. Instead of getting lighter, cheaper, simpler cars, we got heavier, more expensive, and less efficient ones in practice. If you want a practical, small, affordable pickup today, tough luck. In the end, compact pickups didn't die from lack of demand. They were squeezed out by red tape and corporate ambition. In trying to make them cleaner, we made them unviable. Will they come back someday? Maybe. But only as hybrids or EVs. And even then, they'll never be as simple and cheap as the ones we loved. Maybe the only hope we have is for one bold car maker to bring back the spirit of the old Mazda B series. Simple, fun, made for enthusiasts, not for regulators.